Welcome to Muskegon Rising, a community service project of the Muskegon Rotary Club. Our purpose is to create lasting positive change. We've been doing that here since 1916. So, let's get started.
Hi, I'm Gabrielle Gerlach, Rotarian and Muskegon YMCA CEO. And today I've got a great guest so we can talk about the Muskegon Area ISD. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Thanks, Gabe. Randy Lindquist. I'm the superintendent at Muskegon ISD. Have been there now for 17 years. I'm in my third year as superintendent. Previous to this, I was the associate superintendent, technology director, instructional services director. So I've played a lot of roles at the ISD, but now superintendent in my third year.
Wearing many hats.
Yes, absolutely.
Someone once told me that it takes you like 2 or 3 years to really get comfortable at your job. Do you find that to be true? Like,
I'm pretty comfortable now after 17. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I definitely know the ins and outs of the organization.
That's great. So what are, since you know so much about the organization, what are the top priorities you've set for the ISD this year? And then how will those initiatives impact both students and educators across the district?
Yeah, great question. We have a strategic plan that we follow very closely that has 6 major goals in it. I'll go through those and kind of talk about some pieces and parts to them. The first one's positive impact, which is about student achievement. We're all about student achievement in the county, not only for our own programs, but for those at local districts. So one of our number one goals is to impact student learning and to have positive impact on their achievement in school and success in the future. So that's our first one. Second one's around public support. So working to have public support for education within our county and our communities. Working hard with state legislators, business people, agencies to make sure they understand what's truly happening in public schools and making sure we're supporting our public schools in all that they do. Third one's dynamic staff, which is maintaining dynamic staff. It's to do that work I just mentioned previously. It takes a lot of people and it takes a lot of good people. And we have to keep them trained, certified. We have to keep them well. So we focus on wellness also for our staff. So it's really a job as a leader to make sure their staff is well and functioning well within the organization. The fourth one is collaboration. So we work hard on collaborative projects in the county. We do a lot with our local schools. Our superintendents in our schools are great to work with. They want to work on projects together. We do things like a simple thing like Power School. We run Power School for all the schools in the county. It's cheaper, more efficient if we run that and all the schools are part of a consortium as opposed to each school doing it themselves. We do services like that. We provide professional development across the county on a collaborative basis, so a lot of collaborative projects. The fifth one is around professional learning. So we do a lot of training in the county. We spend a lot of time with teaching staff, administrators working on latest and greatest in education trends, instructional strategies, and lots of other training options. So we try to make sure we're providing quality professional development for staff and educators in the county. And the last one I'm pretty excited about really is we call the future of education, trying to drive a conversation about the future of education in Muskegon County, but really as a whole, and what education should look like in the future, because technology changes and things that are happening in our world, we have to evolve with the times, and education needs to make sure we map that out too. So that's our 6 main buckets in our plan that we follow. It seems like a lot, it is, but our team really lives into that plan. I'm very proud of our team, the work they do, because it is truly a living, breathing plan. Each of our administrators and their teams and their buildings and programs actually work through the plan almost on a weekly basis to making sure we're working on strategies and actions that really get towards those goals.
Well, that's exciting. It sounds like there's a lot of intentionality and that drives the mission and the vision.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that. So you said that the last one was the one you were kind of really excited about.
Yeah.
So kind of dreaming big on what the future of education should look like. Are there any particular projects or exciting things that are kind of on the map for the next, year or couple years?
Yeah, so we've been involved in a group called the Future of Learning Council, which is a statewide organization. It's grown kind of organically. Started as a very small group about 3 years ago. And it was really meant to be a think tank, a group of educators coming together to talk about what's the future of education look like. So we joined it early on. It's grown tremendously since then with many different districts across the state. So it's not just ISDs, but local school districts and their teams are involved. We meet monthly, talk about things happening in education. We do visits, site visits, in-state, out-of-state, looking at trends in education. Just last month, we had a group called Knowledge Works that talked about the trends in education they're seeing. And a few of them are like working with co-intelligence, artificial intelligence, but they called it co-intelligence because AI is changing rapidly and daily. It's just amazing the change that happens with AI and how it's changing our work. I use it almost daily at my job now. I'm sure you do as well. But it's changing so fast. How do you keep up with that, right? And it's not about AI replacing people or workers. It's about AI assisting in your work. So they talked a lot about co-intelligence and how schools can capitalize on the power of AI in the learning environment. So helping teachers maybe be more efficient in the work they do in the classroom so they can spend more time working with students directly. Same thing with administrators. So it's really about working with AI and what that looks like. You know, the futurists say that AI by the end of another year could be smarter than any human on Earth. And another futurist also said that by I think it was 2029, that AI could be smarter than every human on Earth, which is kind of amazing to think about, right?
Yeah.
So if we're not utilizing it and jumping on that and making sure we're evolving with it, we're going to be lost.
That's neat. I've never heard it called that either.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting take on it.
It's a great take on it. Honestly, how can we use it to enhance and better what we have rather than replace? Or
absolutely.
Maybe in some cases replace, but so many more opportunities presented that way.
Yeah.
Much less
and again, changing so rapidly. It's crazy. Another area they talked about a trending in education is really broader learning goals or broader goals for students. So as opposed to state standards, which we are still required to do and be accountable for, really talking about the student as a whole more often and things like a portrait of a graduate. So when a student leaves a school district, Reese Puffer, for example, Muskegon, whatever it might be, when they leave that school district, what does that portrait of that graduate look like? And many things on that list, it's typically, I would say, 6 to 8 things they focus on. They're not a specific math standard, ELA standard. It is critical thinking, problem solving, team skills. I've seen things on there like economically savvy. So it's really how do you build that whole child as they leave your school district, they're ready for that next step in their career pathway.
I love
And then another one I think is trending that we're pretty on top of in our county is work-based learning and pathway work. So we're talking about careers strongly. We've got a strong career group at the ISD working with our local districts. But we also have many districts that are doing work-based learning and lots of projects with kids. Give them a flavor early on in their education career what they may want to think about when they leave high school and go beyond. And it's not about you leave high school, go directly to college. It's you're leaving high school with a plan, and your plan then directs you which college, which track, which trade school, which maybe right into your career that you need to go to and build from there. So it's really about students having a plan, and those experiences early on in their education career helps them make that plan.
I love that. I actually interviewed Matt Cortez a few months ago about the Ford NGL project specifically, which is for Muskegon Public Schools. But one of the things I loved, and I think it kind of resonates with what you just said too, is your students are having these experiences, it's almost just as much about knowing what they don't want to do as it is what they do want to do, right? So looking at different paths and saying, this is for me, or nope, thought that might be for me, but it's not.
Absolutely.
And I think that speaks to that whole child approach that it sounds like you're really steering towards, that we have to look at kids as the future and as more holistically.
Yeah, and exposure early on for them helps them make those decisions about what they want to do. Even in high school, I didn't really know what I wanted to do, right? So, but if I had more chances to experience things in the workplace, to understand things better, maybe I would have had a different plan going out of high school into my next phase.
That's exciting.
Yes.
How would you say that you, as an ISD, really focus in on the diverse needs of the students across the district? I mean, you were just speaking about, right, from early readiness, so those little, 3-year-olds?
Birth.
3 and 4, birth, okay, all the way up through that college age and trades and that piece. How do you do that?
So I would say a misnomer about the ISD is that we run schools in the county. We don't run schools in the county. We work with our schools very collaboratively, like I mentioned before, right? But we do run programs for kids, and our programming ranges from birth to age 26. So we actually have a department of staff of roughly about 30 people that actually are home visiting in homes with families, working with kids right after they're born into their early years to try to get them ready for school. Typically, it happens on a referral basis, either through a doctor, family friend, whatever it might be, because the student has some kind of delay. But our staff every day is going out across the county, going into homes, working with families and kids to help them get ready to learn. all the way up through, we have center-based programming for special needs students through the age of 26. In Michigan, we're required to educate students to 26 with special needs. And so we have a transition campus that works on adult skills, getting them ready for being on their own when they do finally leave our four walls of the classroom and into the real world. We have other special education programs at a center base called Wesley School, and that's high special needs kids with mobility issues, communication issues. You'll walk through that building seeing staff feeding students, working on their mobility and certain devices and chairs, working on iPads in terms of helping them communicate because they're nonverbal. Just lots of high needs that, again, a way that we can help students in the county through a program that's center-based as opposed to each school doing that for the one or two students they may have in that situation. Our Career Tech Center is amazing, right? So that's junior and seniors in high school that are working on a specific career path. So we have things like auto body, auto tech. We've got computer courses. We've got a veterinary type of course, a culinary course, lots of different things. Nursing, healthcare is a big one for us. So that's working on students with their career paths, giving them some real life experiences, hands-on work in those career paths. So a really broad range of services the ISD offers and runs for student programming, as well as the work we do in the community, right? So we're also connected to agencies like the YMCA with you,
We are.
DHHS, Hackley Community Care, Health West, United Way, Foundation, Chamber, all those groups we work with closely to making sure we're a good partner in the community and helping in whatever needs to happen in the community for kids specifically, but for the greater good of the whole.
Well, I was saying, I know you very well, and I didn't know it was birth to 26. I'm learning new things as we go, it's always great. I was going to ask you about some of those collaborations and partnerships and that piece too, but you already spoke to it. So what challenges do you see facing the ISD in that piece?
Yeah, there's lots of those every day, right? But I think some of the big ones would be in our county and really statewide would be chronic absenteeism. Getting kids to school is really a big issue for us to think about, and we're talking about with our local districts and our superintendents. If they're not coming to school, it's hard to help them advance in their learning, right?
Sure.
So getting there is number one. So we're working hard on some plans around that. Again, it's a statewide issue. It's not just a Muskegon County issue, but certainly is prevalent here also. I think our chronic absenteeism rate is up at about 30% in the county, which is really students that have missed 10% or more of the school days. So in a given school year of roughly 180 days, that's about 18 days or more they've missed in school. It's a lot of days. So that's a big one. I mentioned student achievement before. We're always focused on trying to get our achievement up and our accountability with the state, et cetera, for test scores, but more importantly, our kids ready for that next step in their learning and preparing them for that phase. So really, that student achievement piece is critical for us and always a top focus and also challenge. And then lastly, I would say the learning needs are way beyond academic for kids these days.
Yes.
We have to focus on the whole child, which I mentioned before, but that really goes down to their mental health, their physical health, their safety, et cetera. Now, schools do a lot for kids. It's not just simply A, B's, and C's and 1, 2s, and 3s anymore. It's really about that whole child. We are feeding kids 2 and 3 meals a day, working with their mental health, with counselors, social workers, mental health clinicians, physical health they need in terms of, like I mentioned, food before or otherwise. So there's just a lot of things schools do for kids to make sure they're well overall, and they do a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you think about the homeless rate of youth in our county. I know you've spoken to me about that before. Huge problem in Muskegon
County, yes. Mm-hmm.
Yep, and just you think about holidays and vacations or summer things, right? And for some kids, that's scary.
Yes, yep.
Because of what the school provides.
Yep.
And the school system and the ISD.
Yeah, we have a challenging population not challenging population, but a challenge is a population of students that are homeless. We have over 1,000 students that would be considered homeless in Muskegon County now, with really very few resources in the county to pull from. We also have a rising population of English language learners students, so students that are coming from other countries, other areas that may not have English as their first language. Pretty tough to learn in the classroom when they are struggling with that language, so that language barrier. So another challenge for us to be thinking about and really working towards some solutions.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, then what opportunities? So you talked about the challenges. What opportunities do you see?
Yeah.
What are you interested in most?
Well, I mentioned the future of education, right? I'm really interested in where we're going in education. We've been slow to change, certainly in education. You think about the classrooms of today, they are changing, but still too often look traditional, like rows and students sitting and listening to a teacher speak. And we really got to think about how we can move away from that and how we can challenge students, engage them more. So I see some great opportunities in project-based learning, place-based learning, problem-based learning. We call that 3P learning. Really getting kids out in space, working on real-life problems and working on projects to demonstrate learning as opposed to rote learning, memorizing for a test, et cetera. So great opportunity for us to really engage kids in different ways. I also think we have a great opportunity to get kids out in the world of work and to experience things beyond the classroom walls. And hoping we can do more of that in the county. Muskegon example is a great way to look at that. They're innovating around careers and pathways and what that looks like and the experiences they give kids. And most of our districts, if not all, are doing something like that in different pockets. So I just keep seeing that advancing, and I think it's a great opportunity for us too in Muskegon County.
I love that. Do you see, opportunity or role of the ISD in terms of bringing back talent or keeping talent in Muskegon? That's one of the things I hear a lot, out in our community. How do we retain the people that we, the good talent that we have, so that way they come back or stay here rather than pursue things other places? Do you see a role for the ISD in that?
Absolutely, and I should have mentioned that as a challenge. The teacher shortage is real, right? We have a shortage in that pipeline for staff to be in classrooms, and we're feeling that at the ISD in some of our specialty classrooms we have. So it's really tough to find people to fill roles. And we do have a role in that. So we are working hard. We have a collaborative consortium between Kent, Ottawa, and Muskegon counties through a grant that we received and wrote that is called West Michigan Teacher Collaborative, which is a grow your own talent pipeline program for teachers, working on those that may have a bachelor degree or some kind of degree but didn't go into teaching, and helping them build into that through residency programs and working in a school while they're working on that, finishing up that teaching side of that degree. And we also are involved in a consortium statewide called Talent Together, which is similar in terms of a grow your own program. So we're very involved in those, help our local districts with that. We even have staff involved in that programming at the ISD as well. So we definitely have a role in that.
I know that we have at the Y, Camp Pendaluan, right? We've got some staff that are it's a great, plug there, right? You want a summer job and you're going to be a teacher.
Great
Working
experience.
for a day camp or that kind of thing is a great thing to do. You're with kids, you're managing, groups, you've got curriculum to build, you're interacting with parents. But we have one of our students was able to get a scholarship to come back and teach in our community. And so that was kind of a neat thing. And I think that was through partnership with the ISD and the Community Foundation.
Yeah, the foundation drove that actually. Yeah, a really great program. If educators coming back into the community get a scholarship for doing that, $15,000, I believe, for that purpose.
It was significant.
And, what a great program they've started for us,
So that's lots of exciting things. Are there any other collaborations that you wanted to highlight, either locally? Like, that was really interesting to me that you did a collaborative grant with other local counties to see how you can work together to kind of solve some of that West Michigan piece. Are there other pieces like that the ISD is doing?
Yeah, we're often looking for those kinds of opportunities. Another one we recently received, about a $4 million grant from the state of Michigan to work on that ELL population and also to work on positive behavior supports in the classrooms and mental health and supports in that way too. That was a real collaborative project amongst all the districts. They each kind of chose different pieces they needed for their district. We helped apply for the grant and we're helping manage that grant, but really the money comes to us and through the local districts.
Nice. So you're like a pass-through kind of thing.
Exactly, yeah. A lot of our funding actually is passed through the local districts. Special ed is a great example of that in terms of programming out in the county. A lot of money comes from us from the state level, even federal level, down to us and then down to our local districts. Another great example would be our tech and security millage in the county, which we have, which is a tremendous support that our community has provided to us to offer dollars that we collect on a millage basis that are then divvied up to our local districts and used for tech and security within those districts. Just a great resource for our districts and a wonderful support by our community members to do that.
That's great.
Yeah, we're really lucky in Muskegon County. We really are. I've mentioned the word collaboration multiple times now.
Well,
but
yeah.
We have an extremely collaborative county. I think people outside of us are pretty jealous of that, and they should be.
They should.
We just do a lot of great things together, and I love that about this area.
I do too. There's something about Muskegon where everybody kind of bands together to just fill gaps and meet needs, and there's real ownership in our community.
Yeah, that's great.
And taking responsibility for that. I love that. Now, I've learned a lot about the ISD that I didn't know, and I thought I knew quite a bit. My mom's a teacher and all those kind of things. So you think you know, but there's so much to learn. Are there other things that you wanted to highlight or bring awareness to for the ISD?
I think we've covered most of it. I think just the idea of the depth and breadth of programming we offer directly for kids. If you were to think about the ISD as a school district, we actually touch about 3,000 students, which would be a pretty large school district. Again, from birth, we're visiting kids in homes. One of the larger pre-K providers in the county with our programming for Great Start Readiness and Head Start. Through our programs with special education students, the Career Tech Center, et cetera. But really, that's a collaborative process for all of us. So we have a wide range of programs and services we offer. Our mission's about leadership programs and services for the community, and I think we live into that quite well. So I appreciate the opportunity to be able to explain that today and provide some examples.
Well, it's great. It's great to hear more about what you're doing, all the good things that you're doing, and like you said, really expand upon and expound on all that you do, right? You're yes, serving the county and the students in the schools, but in a really variety of ways through a lot of different programs for birth through 26.
There you go.
I'm going to repeat that one because to me, that's a really exciting fact.
It is, yeah.
That's a huge thing for you and your team.
And I think the ISD is a collaborative and I would say high quality partner with many people in the county, schools, local businesses, other agencies, et cetera. And I hope and I believe our community believes that too.
Absolutely. I know that we feel it.
Great.
At the Y. Well, thank you for coming today. Really appreciate getting a chance to talk with you and sit down and discuss the Muskegon Area Intermediate School District.
Yeah, it's been an honor to be on Muskegon Rising. I think it's a great podcast and resource that the Rotary provides. Shout out to Mike Vogus and what he does here. It's incredible. I love the studio, and he's the magic man behind the scenes. Does a great job. But I do appreciate the opportunity to share, and thanks for inviting me.
Thanks for coming, and thanks for listening.